Good news, everyone, because this is Suave, and today we're going to be talking about Lost Soul Aside, the newly released action-adventure game from Sony publisher and a Chinese developer. And yeah, we got to check it out. We got to play the demo. Should you play Lost Aside or not? All right. So first impressions, what grabbed me right away? What grabbed me right away, really, first of all, was the fidelity, the visual fidelity, the graphics, the animations. Definitely that's on point. It looks crisp. It looks clean. The art style, I would say, kind of similar. It reminded me a little bit of Expedition 33 and also reminded me of Final Fantasy 15, right? Main character is essentially Noctis. The other thing that was actually really surprising was the mouth sync on the characters, right?
It has been a long time.
You've been here before?
A long time ago. Let's not dwell on it. We should head over to Sky Mirror Lake. It's the sacred lake of the ancient city of Buckhorn.
I had it in English and it was incredibly really well synced. Not sure if it's AI generator or AI assisted because again, the game is from a Chinese developer. I'm thinking that they did it with Mandarin or Cantonese as the main language. So it was really surprising seeing in English and how well the mouth movement was synced with the English language. That was definitely a good thing for Lost Soul Aside there. Gameplay feel was a fun to play moment to moment. Gameplay feel, yes. Gameplay feel, it was snappy, it was reactive. I didn't feel like it was dragging. I felt like my controls were responsive. I didn't feel any latency or perceived latency. Again, I'm playing the demo and I'm playing it on PC. Probably should have mentioned that a little early on, but yeah, I was playing on PC. Usually PC, you're gonna have less latency. That said, felt good to play, very actiony, very Bayonetta inspired in its action, very Devil May Cry as well, and I can definitely see the inspiration there. Fighting the enemies, it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun figuring it out. Now saying that, I did feel that kind of felt like it was kind of limited, right? I felt like I was doing these same things kind of over and over again. You know, I didn't feel like I was just doing the spells and then I went when the spells run out and I got my special bar, like kind of like the devil trigger, and you fuse with your dragon and then you got this new power, devil trigger thing, and then you're either dodging or blocking and fighting, right? But action games tend to be like that. I'm wondering how much the game is going to elevate and how much it's going to evolve. At least for me, it kind of became a little repetitive even after playing the demo. I finished the demo, then I play a little bit through the challenge, the Dimension Rift thing, which is like a challenge run. So yeah, so combat good, but not phenomenal, not the best in class. It does feel good. The soundtrack, was, I think it went well with the action, right? Usually on certain fights, the big boss fights, it was kind of like reminded me of Doom. It was a lot of this heavy metal or metal rock and roll.
Let's try this.
In that sense, it was good. In other instances, it was kind of weird because you usually get this rock and roll metal soundtrack, but then you get in like the more normal between fights, I was getting something much more piratey.
We're going down.
I was like in a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and I'm like, okay, like it's fun music, but it's kind of like a weird contrast between having that and then having like the heavy metal track, which again is, I don't know how to feel about that, right? It kind of threw me off because individually the tracks were fine, they were nice, but in together as a whole package, it kind of doesn't congeal well together overall. Performance. This is my biggest gripe. In performance, biggest gripe. That's definitely, and this is not only me, I've read this about other people before going into the demo and trying it out, and definitely there is some performance issues. There's plenty of stuttering. You can notice if you go into the settings, when I was going into the settings and I was changing like graphical settings and stuff and see what they have there in the PC options, they have a lot of stuttering, right? Coming into the menu, going out of the menu and into the game, and also just even moving around the menu, right? It had a lot of latency, a lot of delay, which is really weird. In the game has a lot of artifacts, a lot of moving assets, especially when you're fighting that big first boss on the demo. It has all the knives and all the sharp objects, and it's exploding and doing all this crazy stuff. You could definitely see a lot of stuttering happening whenever the enemy came into an action doing a sort of spell and then coming out of the spell, and that transitioning period where the game kind of like is in a more stable state and then coming out from that unstable state where there's a lot of things going on screen. Definitely a lot of stuttering there. And funny enough, it's one of those things that I read that they had real big trouble at some point in development. This game has been in development for 9 years, 10 years. And when Sony came in and became the official main publisher, one of the things was that the game was kind of in this development rut. And one of the main issues of that development rut was optimization. They were losing their minds, right? Pulling the hairs out of their head because they had problems with optimization. And that makes absolutely perfect sense when you play the game and you still see optimization problems, performance problems, stutterings here and there. So they're aware of it. Hopefully they're gonna fix that soon, but that's definitely a detriment. Replay value. I guess there is replay value because you do have the challenge runs. You do have a section very similar to Stellar Blade where you can have boss battles. So I guess you unlock them. You can just go through that, which is definitely adds replay value to it. Not sure about difficulty settings or anything like that, but from what I've seen, yeah, definitely they have challenge runs and challenge areas that are called like dimensional rifts or something, and you can do those and you get like extra stuff. Not sure what the extra stuff is, if it's really like useful items that really change the attributes of your character or, you know, make yourself powerful in some way, or is it more leading towards that cosmetic aspect of it where you just look cool, get some new outfits or get some new swords and stuff. From what I've seen, there's definitely some different layers that they can build upon that, but again, sure, I'm just letting out from what they showed in the demo. Did I actually enjoy it? That is a great, phenomenal question. Did I enjoy my time with Lost Soul Aside? In some parts, I would say yes, and in some parts, I would say no, right? Again, optimization problems, stuttering problems, performance problems. Action felt good, but also a little messy. Sometimes I felt like I didn't know what thing I should have been dodging or when attacks were gonna come because they came really fast and real furious, and it was kind of weird getting into that. But that's obviously, I think the more I played it, the more I was kind of getting the hang of it. So, but it's like those first impressions, right? I think where it falls more is in the in-betweens. It felt many times in that demo that it was a boss rush. That demo was, I don't know, an hour. It took me about an hour and 15 minutes to complete. And in that hour and 15 minutes, we literally fought about 2 to 3 bosses. And that was basically the engagements. In between those, it was like 2 engagements that were just normal monsters, and then there were bosses. And I didn't see any type of puzzles. The only thing that was different, that they were kind of like throwing a little mix in there to keep things interesting, was a weird snowboard section where you were riding your own sword, riding your own dragon that becomes a sword, and you're going through this section, and then they interlock it with some cutscenes. And that section was actually the worst of the demo, the worst part by far. It was clunky. Yeah, I didn't have control really. The character was just zooming, only control like left or right directions, like going out of the way, and it felt extremely stiff. That was definitely worst aspect of the demo there. So if there's more parts like that and they feel like that, I don't know, not great. In some aspects I did have fun, in some aspects I didn't. From those points, they don't want to be dragging this video longer than it should be, right? Should you buy, or would I recommend that you buy a full game of Lost Soul Aside? I'm gonna say no. It's a pass, at least for me, as of this moment right now. Think again, the aspects of the optimization and performance, definitely a big detriment. The aspect of having those weird sections that really don't congeal or are not well designed, and then did not add anything better to the game. I actually think that they retracted and make the experience just worse overall. I think Lost Soul Aside lit a little bit more time on the oven there, even though it's been on the oven for a long time, right? It goes to show that definitely I give credit to the developers because this is their first game, right? The guy who came up with the idea originally, Bing Yang, I think is his name. You know, he just literally got out of college, out of South Korea, and had this idea for this game, created this little montage, and then Sony, you know, poured in money because of the Sony China project thing. And, you know, that's what he's been working on. So this is really his first experience out of college, out of graduating, into creating something, creating a product. And to be at this scale, which is essentially a AAA title, it is actually amazing and incredible, right? I'm sure that he learning as he was doing, it is not an easy feat, and it is not for, you know, the soft-hearted. So definitely credits to them. You can see the love and you can see the passion, and you can see like they try their very best, and for the most part it works. But really, with so many other incredible games coming out, Metal Gear Solid that just came out, it's gonna be Silk Song. Stellar Blade came out a couple of months ago on PC, and I'm playing that, and it has been a joy to play. I love Soul Aside, give it a pass. Maybe when it's on sale, grab it when it's on sale. That's it for me. As I always say, keep it cool, keep it suave, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.